November 22nd, 1963. Dallas, Texas. President John F. Kennedy sat in the back of an open-top Lincoln Continental limousine. He moved slowly through the streets, waving at a crowd of 200,000 people. In the distance, gunmen were already adjusting their scopes and positioning their rifles. Jacqueline Kennedy sat directly beside him. She wore a bright pink suit and a matching pillbox hat. She rarely joined her husband on political trips, but on this day, she was there. The atmosphere was tense. Only minutes earlier, the presidential staff had read full-page newspaper advertisements. The text labeled Kennedy a traitor and a communist. Dallas was a city filled with political hatred toward the administration. But under the bright midday sun, the mood seemed to change. People cheered. The governor's wife, Nellie Connolly, turned to the president. She told him that Dallas had given him a great welcome. Kennedy smiled and agreed. Only 8 minutes remained. Why was the protective bubble top removed from the limousine? The Secret Service usually demanded it, but the order was given to leave the car open. Why did no one notice the shooters in the windows above? At first glance, a successful parade, but in reality, a trap. The motorcade turned onto Elm Street. The footage shows the car slowing down as it passed the Texas School Book Depository. The sound of a motorcycle engine idling is audible on the police radio. Events accelerated. Jacqueline Kennedy looked at the crowd. Seconds later, her life and American history changed forever. She didn't just see the attack. She reached across the trunk to retrieve pieces of her husband's skull while the car sped toward Parkland Hospital. The president was pronounced dead at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Thus ended the 1,000 days of his presidency. 12:30 in the afternoon. The sun shines over Dealey Plaza. The presidential limousine makes a slow left turn onto Houston Street. It then glides into a right turn onto Elm Street. The vehicle moves at 11 miles per hour. It follows a path rehearsed dozens of times by the Secret Service detail. The motorcade passes the Texas School Book Depository. The building is 7 stories of red brick dominating the corner. The footage shows workers leaning out of the windows to get a better view. They wave at the motorcade. On the 6th floor, in the southeast corner window, the view is different. Piles of book boxes form an improvised sniper's nest. A rifle barrel rests on the ledge. 12:30. The first shot rings out. It misses the target entirely. The bullet hits the pavement. Then, the second shot. It strikes the upper part of the president's back. The round exits through his neck and continues forward. It penetrates the body of Governor John Connolly. The camera records. Kennedy raises his hands to his throat. It is a desperate reflex. His face contorts. His lungs struggle for oxygen. Jacqueline Kennedy turns toward him. Confusion is visible in her movements. She does not understand. What is happening? The answer comes with the third shot. Abraham Zapruder stands on a concrete pedestal. He is a 58-year-old clothing manufacturer. He holds an 8mm Bell and Howell camera to his eye. He tracks the car through the viewfinder. The motorcade moves into the center of the frame. Zapruder screams. He shouts that they have killed him. His finger remains locked on the camera trigger. Later, he would state he knew the wound was fatal instantly. He watched through the lens as the president's head exploded. Events accelerate. The First Lady climbs onto the trunk of the moving Lincoln. She crawls on her hands and knees. She is recovering fragments of the president's skull from the polished metal. Later, she will have no memory of this action. Secret Service agent Clint Hill runs toward the car. He jumps onto the bumper and pushes her back into the rear seat. The driver floored the accelerator. The Lincoln lunged toward Parkland Memorial Hospital. On the radio, a reporter's voice shakes. He shouts into the microphone, "There has been a shooting. Parkland Hospital is ordered to prepare for a major gunshot wound." How long did it take? 26.6 seconds, 486 frames of film. This became the most documented assassination in human history. But in reality, no one understood what had just happened. The race to the hospital began. The story cut off here. 12:38 p.m. Parkland Memorial Hospital, Trauma Room 1. Dr. Kenneth Salyer, the neurosurgeon on duty, sprints through the corridors. He shoves heavy double doors aside and swerves past rolling gurneys. The noise in the hallway is deafening. Salyer enters the room and stops. The president lies on the table. The right side of his skull is gone. A massive, jagged wound occupies the space where bone should be. It looks as if the head had been torn open by raw physical force. The heart still beats. Kennedy breathes in irregular, ragged gasps. The medical team moves in a frantic rhythm. They attempt to force a tube down his trachea. They perform an emergency tracheotomy and begin external heart massages. Blood bags are hooked up. Oxygen masks are pressed to the face. Doctors inject adrenaline directly into the cardiac muscle. The movements are fast and precise. Every person in the room follows a grim choreography. But the reality is clear. The surgeons see the gray matter on the table. They know the physics of the wound. Survival is a biological impossibility. 1 p.m. local time. The doctors stop. The president is declared dead. He was 46 years old. The camera pans to the corridor. Jacqueline Kennedy stands against the wall. Her pink Chanel suit is soaked in dark crimson blood. She does not move. She does not speak. A nurse offers her a change of clothes. Jacqueline refuses. She wants the world to see what they did to him. She remains a living monument of the assassination, 2 kilometers away. The Texas School Book Depository is now a crime scene. Police officers seal the exits. They begin a floor-by-floor sweep of the warehouse. 45 minutes pass. On the 6th floor, investigators find a sniper's nest in the southeast corner. They discover 3 spent brass cartridges on the floor. Hidden between stacks of cardboard boxes is the weapon. It is a Mannlicher Carcano, an Italian bolt-action rifle, 6.5 millimeter caliber, equipped with a telescopic sight. The serial number is visible. The supervisor checks the staff roster. 1 temporary employee is missing from the building. His name is Lee Harvey Oswald. The manhunt begins. 1:15 p.m. Oak Cliff neighborhood, Dallas. A lone police car cruises the street. 1:31 p.m. Officer J.D. Tippett is shot dead. 4 gunshots echo through the residential street. Witnesses see a man sprinting from the scene, cutting through yards and disappearing between houses. 1:40 p.m. The Texas Theater, a basic dark cinema in the center of Oak Cliff. This is where Lee Harvey Oswald is located. Police officers swarm the building after reports of a suspect hiding in the shadows of the theater. They move in and detain him. 1 a.m. on November 23rd. The situation becomes official. Oswald is formally charged with the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. 12 hours of intermittent interrogation follow. The footage shows no cameras. There are no tape recorders, no lawyers present in the room. The sessions are marked by long, silent intervals. Oswald denies every charge. He repeats the same phrase. He has nothing to do with the crime. Investigators note his statements are inconsistent. He provides contradictory details. Many are simply false. But who is Lee Harvey Oswald? At first glance, a common drifter, but in reality, a man defined by instability. October 18, 1939. Oswald is born in New Orleans. His life begins with an absence. His father died 2 months before his birth. His childhood was fragmented. By age 12, he was already in trouble. After repeated episodes of truancy, he was sent to a juvenile detention center. A psychiatrist evaluated him there. The report was clear: emotionally disturbed. The cause, a total lack of stable family life. He attended 12 different schools during his youth. He was always moving, always an outsider. At 17, he searched for a new direction. He joined the Marines, but this was only the beginning. 1959. Oswald is discharged from active duty. He does not wait. 9 days later, he boards a ship for the Soviet Union. He wants to start over. He tries to obtain Soviet citizenship, but officials refuse. He settles in Minsk. There, he meets and marries Marina Nikolaevna Prusakova. June 1962. Oswald returns to the United States. He brings a wife and a daughter. He is a declared Marxist, a defector, a militant who spends his days distributing pro-Castro leaflets on street corners. Late September 1963. Oswald travels to Mexico City. He visits both the Soviet and Cuban embassies. He wants visas. He wants to leave America again. Both embassies reject him. His Spanish is broken. His Russian is weak. Those who spoke to him reported extreme difficulty understanding his words. It got worse. Intelligence reports later surfaced. Fidel Castro allegedly told FBI informants about Oswald's visit. According to these files, Oswald walked into the Cuban embassy with a specific offer. He volunteered to kill the President of the United States. The investigation continued. October 1963. Lee Harvey Oswald was a man looking for a purpose. He found a job at the Texas School Book Depository in Dallas. The building overlooked Dealey Plaza. On the morning of November 22nd, Oswald walked into the warehouse carrying a long brown paper package. He told a coworker the parcel contained curtain rods for his apartment. The Warren Commission later reached a different conclusion. They proved the package held a disassembled Italian rifle. It was the weapon used to kill the president. How did the country react to the loss? At first glance, total chaos, but in reality, a deep collective grief took hold. November 25, 1963, Washington, D.C. The funeral of a nation began. A horse-drawn caisson carried the coffin. It was draped in the American flag. 6 gray horses pulled the weight toward the United States Capitol. Beside them walked a riderless black horse. A pair of empty boots hung reversed in the stirrups. This was an ancient military tradition. It signaled a fallen leader who would never ride again. The footage shows the streets are lined with thousands of people. No one speaks. Only the sound of horse hooves on the pavement is audible. The air is cold. The silence is absolute. It was a procession of iron and stone. 99 nations sent their representatives. Kings, presidents, and prime ministers walked together. It was the largest diplomatic gathering in modern history. But the true audience was at home. 100 million people watched the broadcast on television. The world stopped. Factories went silent. Traffic ceased. The camera records Jackie Kennedy, dressed in black, holding the hands of her children. She stands perfectly still. The public watches her every move. They struggle to process the sudden void. There was no mistake. The era had changed in a single afternoon. Events accelerated. The investigation began. The nation looked for answers in the wreckage of Dealey Plaza. But for now, there was only the sound of the bugle. The body was lowered into the ground at Arlington National Cemetery. An eternal flame was lit. The story of the 35th president reached its final chapter. Thus ended the funeral. 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Central Standard Time. The news anchor's voice breaks as he delivers the sentence. President John F. Kennedy is dead. The announcement comes exactly 38 minutes after the shots rang out in Dealey Plaza, Arlington National Cemetery. The date is November 25, 1963. Kennedy is buried with full military honors on a gentle slope below Arlington House. Soldiers stand at attention. The sound of a 21-gun salute echoes across the hills. The widow steps forward. Jacqueline Kennedy takes a torch and lights the eternal flame at the head of the grave. It is a calculated gesture. The fire is meant to burn forever. It serves as a permanent marker for his memory. One image defines the day. John Jr. stands on the pavement. He is the president's son. Tomorrow is his 3rd birthday. The boy raises his right hand and salutes his father's coffin as it passes by. The footage captures the moment in high contrast. The boy's small figure against the backdrop of mourning officials. It becomes a permanent fixture of American history. It is a silent, sharp ending to an era. But the events in Dallas were not over. While the nation watched the funeral, the machinery of the investigation continued to move. The focus shifted from the grave to the interrogation room. November the 24th, 1963, 11:21 in the morning. Dallas Police Headquarters. The basement is crowded. Reporters hold microphones. Photographers check their lenses. Detectives lead the suspect toward a waiting vehicle. The suspect is Lee Harvey Oswald. He is pale. He wears a dark sweater. His hands are cuffed in front of him. He moves through the narrow corridor toward the garage. Suddenly, a man in a dark suit and a fedora steps out from the crowd. He reaches into his pocket. He pulls out a .38 caliber Colt Cobra revolver. One shot, point-blank range. Oswald collapses. The cameras record the chaos. The sound of shouting fills the basement. Officers wrestle the gunman to the concrete floor. His name is Jack Ruby. He's a local nightclub owner. The suspect was dead. The silence began. The trial of the century would never happen. 11:21 in the morning. Detectives Jim Lavelle and L.C. Graves gripped Lee Harvey Oswald by the arms. They moved toward the basement of the Dallas Police Headquarters. The plan was a transfer to the county jail. It was a more secure facility with isolated cells and fewer entry points. Reporters crowded the narrow space. Cameras were hoisted onto shoulders. The sound of camera shutters filled the air. Flashbulbs popped like artificial lightning strikes. Oswald walked into the main garage area. In the center of the chaotic noise, Jack Ruby stepped out from the front row of journalists. He moved fast. He pulled a snub-nosed .38 caliber revolver from his pocket. He fired a single shot directly into Oswald's abdomen. The event happened on live television. Millions of Americans watched the screen in real time. The Guinness World Records later documented this as the first human murder ever broadcast live. UPI reporter Terrence McGarry stood less than 10 feet away. He saw a brown blur cross his vision. In the frame, police officers lunging forward. They tackled Ruby and Oswald simultaneously. Why did Jack Ruby pull the trigger? He claimed he wanted to be a hero. He shouted at Oswald, calling him a rat and a murderer of the president. The bullet entered Oswald's stomach at close range. The footage shows. Oswald's face contorted. He slumped toward the concrete floor. Officers lifted him onto a stretcher and tore open his shirt. A small blue puncture wound was visible just below his ribcage on the left side. The ambulance sped toward Parkland Memorial Hospital. Medical staff rushed the stretcher into Trauma Room 2. It was the same emergency area where President John F. Kennedy had died 48 hours earlier. Doctors worked for 1 hour and 47 minutes. It was useless. At 1:07 in the afternoon, Lee Harvey Oswald was declared dead. He would never stand before a jury. He would never tell his side of the story. The questions of the world remained unanswered. The investigation stopped there.